So you need to ask the question, why would a society as capable of creative analysis as anybody else be so stunningly poor at it suddenly? And the answer is nobody wants to see clearly the decline of their own empire and their own society. And that's unfortunately where the United States sits. And it's unfortunate not just for the United States, but the United States is in a position, and here I address myself above all to the Europeans. The United States is in a position to soften its own dissent by using Europe as a cushion for doing so.
Yeah, it seems like a pretty bleak trajectory, but then I'd be interested in hearing, is there any action that could be taken to sort of change the trajectory, or is it sort of already too far gone?
My guess is it's too far gone. I hope I'm wrong, but my guess is it's too far gone. Let me put it a little bit differently. It might not be too far gone, but given the utter blindness of the American political class, once you take that into account, then it's too far gone. Let me give you the simplest and the most obvious example. And if it isn't obvious, well, then you're caught up also in this sad story. When Russia invaded Ukraine, as it surely did, in February of 2022, it confronted the West, as it knew it would, with the problem. Russia is a large, big, rich country relative to Ukraine. And therefore, this is not a fair fight. This is not a question about the outcome. This is the Russians, possessed of nuclear weapons, wielding their power. They take the situation to be an existential threat. Honestly or not, I don't know. But that's their position. And the West then made a decision, led completely by the United States, seconded by, Boris Johnson and Emmanuel Macron and the other, I'll be general now, leaders of Europe. But the decision they made was they can defeat Russia by waging economic war upon Russia. That its weaknesses politically, Russia's, and its weaknesses, they thought, militarily, and its vulnerability economically, the West had a clear shot at winning. And in the early months, let me remind you, Mr. Biden, as president of the United States, and the leaders of Europe all boasted about how Russia was a gas station masquerading as a country, and that the ruble would collapse, and that the Russian economy would collapse, and that with the mother of all sanctions applied to Russia by the powerful West, the outcome would be predictable and devastating for Russia. That's what they believed. That's the basis upon which they acted. And now the point. Everything about that calculation was wrong, was mistaken, was inaccurate, and was devastating. It turned out Russia had real allies. If the Europeans wouldn't buy Russian oil and gas, India and China would and did. Russia is fine as an economy. This year, according to the IMF, Russia will grow faster than the United States and faster than any other European country. The opposite of what the West calculated turned out to be true. These are signs of blindness by our leaders. They don't know what they're doing. They do not understand the obstacles in their way. So far, their miscalculations have cost the West hundreds of billions of dollars lost in the war in Ukraine. They have cost Ukraine millions of people that have left that country and who will not come back. The devastation across Ukraine is obvious to anyone who pays attention. The miscalculation is catastrophic, and any honest assessment of where we are would have to confront that and explain that. Otherwise, you have no understanding and no explanation, and all you're left with are childish demonizations of Mr. Putin, as if his positive and negative qualities are what's important here. They aren't. They never were. The demonization is a substitute for the analysis because there isn't any. And otherwise, smart people cannot look their own decline in the face. They all grew up, led by Mr. Biden, they all grew up in the heyday of the rising American empire. They have to go in order for a new generation to become in a position to actually ask and answer the obvious questions about how the United States is going to navigate its decline. Because the decline is certain. Navigating it, how you manage it, that's still open to some degree, but the blindness suggests it's not going to go very well.